sudden cessation of a high thermal stretching along the silica strand, disconnecting the interlocking molecular stress from the daily command. The vertical gravity of the melting furnace releasing its active mold, sinking far away from the rigid shapes that the morning market sold. The horizontal plane of the non-crystalline sheet maintains its unblinking seal, utterly unconcerned with the pulling refraction that the daylight metrics feel. A slow atomic stabilization occupies the entire perimeter of the dark pane, leaving the entire manufacturing history without a temporary name. So softly does the cooling matrix absorb the evening shade that the heavy distortion of that specific fracture is bound to fade. The temporary dust that cluttered the expanding optical floor settles into a uniform transparency, mattering no more. An unwritten clarity insulates the physical container tonight. The collective acceleration shrinks into an insignificant trace, like a minor bubble error trapped in a deserted studio space. Those loud instructions possessed a kingdom built on a temporary lease, but this unblemished vitreous stillness is your permanent peace. So softly does the cooling matrix absorb the evening shade that the heavy distortion of that specific fracture is bound to fade. The temporary dust that cluttered the expanding optical floor settles into a uniform transparency, mattering no more. An unwritten clarity insulates the physical container tonight. The static suspension of the light rays is the only remaining line, unconnected to any structural project or digital blueprint design. Just the complete horizontal expansion of a heavy clay chest, reclaiming the primitive stability of an unmeasured rest. The property of material fragility becomes entirely free from the market weight, leaving the entire stress of the dynamic calendar at the boundary gate, no longer functioning as a resource, a tool, or a calculated cost. The solitary human form accepts what the daylight permanently lost. So softly does the cooling matrix absorb the evening shade, that heavy distortion of that specific fracture is bound to fade. The temporary dust that cluttered the expanding optical floor settles into uniform transparency, mattering no more. Unwritten clarity insulates the physical container tonight. So softly does it absorb. The fracture fades, absolute transparency. The sudden expiration of an over-encrypted historical data stream chaotic signal traffic scattered by the broadcasting town. A frantic pattern of algorithm loops losing their computational head, where the binary friction of the communication link is dead. The unmapped parity bits of the unlinked server maintain their unblinking seal, utterly unconcerned with the searching metrics that the daylight networks feel. A slow decryption failure occupies the perimeter of the mind's frame, leaving the entire weight of the personal catalog without a functional name. Only by losing the cipher key can the repetitive loop finally break, allowing the illegible characters to vanish into the silence they make. The temporary congestion that cluttered the expanding bandwidth floor dissolves into a non-executable texture, mattering no more. An unwritten encryption insulates the inner information space tonight. The cultural multi-channel matrix shrinks into an insignificant trace, like a minor code error trapped in a deserted backup space. Those loud broadcasting vectors possessed a kingdom built on a whim, but this permanent attenuation makes the commercial perimeter dim. Oh, only by losing the cipher key can the repetitive loop finally break, allowing the illegible characters to vanish into the silence they make. The temporary congestion that cluttered the expanding bandwidth floor dissolves into a non-executable texture, mattering no more. An unwritten encryption insulates the inner information space tonight. The static suspension of the terminal line is the only remaining line, unconnected to any reproductive sequence or digital project design. Just the complete horizontal expansion of a heavy clay chest, reclaiming the primitive stability of an unmeasured rest. The property of computational weight becomes entirely free from the market scale, leaving the entire stress of the dynamic calendar at the heavy perimeter rail, no longer functioning as an index, a variable, or a calculated cost. The solitary human form accepts what the daylight permanently lost. Only by losing the cipher key can the repetitive loop finally break, allowing the illegible characters to vanish into the silence they make. The temporary congestion that cluttered the expanding bandwidth floor dissolves into a non-executable texture, mattering no more. An unwritten encryption insulates the inner information space tonight. Only by losing the cipher key fades non-executable peace. The vertical velocity of an overheated thermal updraft finally losing momentum, disconnecting the turbulent air mass from the friction of the industrial town. The rising columns of daytime energy scattering outward at the boundary gate, sinking far away from the dynamic vectors that the early morning state create. The horizontal stratification of the upper atmosphere maintains its unblinking seal, utterly unconcerned with the pulling gravity that the lower metrics feel. A slow isobaric cooling occupies the entire perimeter of the dark dome, where the public function leaves the meteorological architecture alone. Such is the absolute inertia of this high stratospheric plane that the noise dies, flattening every exhausting pressure wave beneath the unsealing skies. The temporary turbulence that cluttered the expanding tropospheric floor diffuses into a motionless density, mattering no more. An unwritten equilibrium insulates the physical container tonight. The collective acceleration shrinks into an insignificant trace, like a minor barometric drop trapped in a deserted cabin space. Those loud instructions possessed a kingdom built on a temporary lease, but this stationary tropopause stillness is your unpriced peace. Such is the absolute inertia of this high stratospheric plane that the noise dies, flattening every exhausting pressure wave beneath the unsealing skies. The temporary turbulence that cluttered the expanding tropospheric floor diffuses into a motionless density, mattering no more. An unwritten equilibrium insulates the physical container tonight. The static suspension of the air particles is the only remaining line, unconnected to any industrial project or digital flight path design. Just the complete horizontal expansion of a heavy clay chest, reclaiming the primitive stability of an unmeasured rest. The property of aerodynamic drag becomes entirely free from the market weight, leaving the entire turbulence of the commercial calendar at the boundary gate, no longer functioning as a current of friction or a calculated cost. The solitary human form accepts what the daylight permanently lost. Such is the absolute inertia of this high stratospheric plane that the noise dies, flattening every exhausting pressure wave beneath the unsealing skies. The temporary turbulence that cluttered the expanding tropospheric floor diffuses into a motionless density, mattering no more. An unwritten equilibrium insulates the physical container tonight. Such is the inertia, the turbulence diffuses. The gradual cessation of an uncontainable thermal transfer, slowing down, isolating the localized system from the radiating friction of the town. An overstimulated molecular movement losing its kinetic head, where the frantic input from the external generator is dead. The non-conductive barriers of the isolated room maintain their unblinking wall, utterly unconcerned with the volatile temperature that the daylight metrics call. A slow internal equilibrium occupies the perimeter of the frame, leaving the entire thermodynamic history without a temporary name. Nowhere else but within this detached boundary can the heated expansion cease, allowing the cooling particles to find a permanent geometric peace. The temporary velocity that cluttered the expanding volumetric floor condenses into a motionless state, mattering no more. Absolute thermal balance insulates the physical container tonight. The cultural amplitude shrinks into an insignificant trace, like a minor calorie drop trapped in a deserted vacuum space. Those loud broadcasting instructions possess the kingdom built on a whim, but this total dissipation makes the commercial perimeter dim. Nowhere else but within this detached boundary can the heated expansion cease, allowing the cooling particles to find a permanent geometric peace. The temporary velocity that cluttered the expanding volumetric floor condenses into a motionless state, mattering no more. Absolute thermal balance insulates the physical container tonight. The absolute stillness of the convection current is the only remaining line, unconnected to any reproductive engine or digital design. Just the complete containment of all heat within a heavy clay chest, reclaiming the primitive low-energy state of an unmeasured rest. The property of entropic chaos becomes entirely free from the market weight, leaving the entire agitation of the dynamic calendar at the heavy gate, no longer functioning as a resource, a fuel, or a calculated cost. The solitary human form accepts what the daylight permanently lost. Nowhere else but within this detached boundary can the heated expansion cease, allowing the cooling particles to find a permanent geometric peace. The temporary velocity that cluttered the expanding volumetric floor condenses into a motionless state, mattering no more. Absolute thermal balance insulates the physical container tonight. Nowhere else but here, the particles cease. Absolute balance. The sudden relaxation of a high tensile strain along the woven thread, disconnecting the interlocking fibers from the daily pattern they bled. The vertical alignment of the loom, releasing its active hold, sinking far away from the rigid designs that the morning sold. The horizontal warp and weft maintain their unblinking rest, utterly unconcerned with the pulling forces that the daylight metrics pressed. A total thermodynamic cooling occupies the perimeter of the die, where the public function leaves the textile geometry to lie. Little did the exhausted pattern realize that the tension had died, but instead an unmapped non-resistance blankets the entire inside. The vertical hierarchy that drove the compression through the day collapses into a flat clearance where no one holds a sway. An unwritten texture claims the immediate physical view. The collective acceleration shrinks into a historical trace, like a miner not of wool trapped in a deserted factory space. Those loud manufacturing instructions possessed an empire built on a lease, but this unbleached physical stillness is your permanent peace. Little did the exhausted pattern realize that the tension had died, but instead an unmapped non-resistance blankets the entire inside. The vertical hierarchy that drove the exhaustion through the day collapses into a flat clearance where no one holds a sway. An unwritten texture claims the immediate physical view. Right here, the interlaced materials require no validation to remain. Far below the perimeter of the digital performance list and strain. No structural data to calibrate, no temporary slope to measure or test. The present equilibrium accepts its native right to arrest. The separate fabric detaches from its commercial axis line, merging completely with the unlit horizontal design of the pine. The brief mechanical anomaly surrenders its driving cause, leaving the elemental tissue to accept an absolute pause. Little did the exhausted pattern realize that the tension had died, but instead an unmapped non-resistance blankets the entire inside. The vertical hierarchy that drove the compression through the day collapses into a flat clearance where no one holds a sway. An unwritten texture claims the immediate physical view. Little did it realize the tension has died. Unwritten texture. The nocturnal closure of the chloroplast channel slowing down, shedding the chemical urgency borrowed from the glaring town. A frantic sequence of organic signals losing its cellular drive, leaving the internal greenhouse with no active light to survive. The cell walls of the dark foliage maintained their unblinking seal, unconcerned with the invisible friction that the daytime metrics feel. A slow osmotic cooling occupies the perimeter of the vein, leaving the entire weight of the personal landscape without a strain. So absolute is the vegetal stillness that the phantom echo dies, dissolving the heavy trajectory under the unlit ceiling skies. The temporary sap that cluttered the expanding internal vine scatters into the dark blank tissue, leaving no defensive line. A neutral botanical equilibrium claims the immediate view. The cultural frequency drops into a biological void, like a minor cellular receptor whose signal was permanently destroyed. Those loud instructions possessed a kingdom built on a temporary lease, but this low chlorophyll winter is your permanent peace. So absolute is the vegetal stillness that the phantom echo dies, dissolving the heavy trajectory under the unlit ceiling skies. The temporary sap that cluttered the expanding internal vine scatters into the dark blank tissue, leaving no defensive line. A neutral botanical equilibrium claims the immediate view. Right here, the roots require no structural alignment to survive. Deep below the grid of performance, where the frantic calculations thrive. No history to validate, no seasonal path to calculate or steer. The present saturation accepts the vastness of the sphere. The separate leaf detaches from its commercial axis line, merging smoothly with the unlit horizontal design of the pine. The brief metabolic anomaly surrenders its burning cause, leaving the elemental tissue to accept an eternal pause. So absolute is the vegetal stillness that the phantom echo dies, dissolving the heavy trajectory under the unlit ceiling skies. The temporary sap that cluttered the expanding internal vine scatters into the dark blank tissue, leaving no defensive line. A neutral botanical equilibrium claims the immediate view. So absolute, the vine is clear. Absolute pause. So absolute. So absolute, the vine is clear. Absolute pause. descent of an exhausted weight toward the abyssal floor, leaving the turbulent shear that the sunlit surface currents bore. The thermal layers of the ocean shrinking their active span, far below the dynamic zones where the commercial grid began. The immense hydrostatic pressure maintains its unblinking host, utterly indifferent to the temporary speed that the daylight boasted most. A total equilibrium occupies the dense deep water zone, where the public function leaves the molecular structure alone. On no account must the horizontal deep-sea trench reply to the shore, but instead an unmapped non-resistance governs the ocean floor. The vertical density that drove the compression through the day collapses into a flat clearance where no one holds a sway. An unwritten abyss claims the immediate vertical view. The collective acceleration shrinks into a geological trace, like a minor deposit of silica trapped in a permanent trench space. Those loud terrestrial instructions possessed an empire built on a lease. But this cold bathite pelagic stillness is your unpriced peace. On no account must the horizontal deep-sea trench reply to the shore, but instead an unmapped non-resistance governs the ocean floor. The vertical density that drove the compression through the day collapses into a flat clearance where no one holds a sway. An unwritten abyss claims the immediate vertical view. Require no validation to remain beyond the boundaries of the digital performance. List and strain, no sensory data to calibrate, no temporary wave to measure or test. The present saturation accepts its native right to arrest. The separate entity detaches from the commercial axis line, merging completely with the unlit horizontal design of the pine. The brief dynamic anomaly surrenders its driving cause, leaving the biological machine to accept an absolute pause. On no account must the horizontal deep-sea trench reply to the shore, but instead an unmapped non-resistance governs the ocean floor. The vertical density that drove the compression through the day collapses into a flat clearance where no one holds a sway. An unwritten abyss claims the immediate vertical view. On no account, the abyss claims absolute pause. Gradual cessation of an uncontainable thermal transfer, slowing down, isolating the localized system from the radiating friction of the town. An overstimulated molecular movement, losing its kinetic head, where the frantic input from the external generator is dead. The non-conductive barriers of the isolated room maintain their unblinking wall, utterly unconcerned with the volatile temperature that the daylight metrics call. A slow internal equilibrium occupies the perimeter of the frame, leaving the entire thermodynamic history without a temporary name. Nowhere else but within this detached boundary can the heated expansion cease, allowing the cooling particles to find a permanent geometric peace. The temporary velocity that cluttered the expanding volumetric floor condenses into a motionless state, mattering no more. Absolute thermal balance insulates the physical container tonight. The cultural amplitude shrinks into an insignificant trace, like a minor calorie drop trapped in a deserted vacuum space. Those loud broadcasting instructions possessed a kingdom built on a whim, but this total dissipation makes the commercial perimeter dim. Nowhere else but within this detached boundary can the heated expansion cease, allowing the cooling particles to find a permanent geometric peace. The temporary velocity that cluttered the expanding volumetric floor condenses into a motionless state, mattering no more. Absolute thermal balance insulates the physical container tonight. The absolute stillness of the convection current is the only remaining line, unconnected to any reproductive engine or digital design. Just the complete containment of all heat within a heavy clay chest, reclaiming the primitive low energy state of an unmeasured rest. The property of entropic chaos becomes entirely free from the market weight, leaving the entire agitation of the dynamic calendar at the heavy gate, no longer functioning as a resource of fuel or a calculated cost. The solitary human form accepts what the daylight permanently lost. Nowhere else but within this detached boundary can the heated expansion cease, allowing the cooling particles to find a permanent geometric peace. The temporary velocity that cluttered the expanding volumetric floor condenses into a motionless state, mattering no more. Absolute thermal balance insulates the physical container tonight. Nowhere else but here, the particles cease. Absolute balance. An orbit of over-illuminated fragments, losing their gravitational core, drifting away from the dense friction that the atmosphere bore. The internal observatory shutting down its heated lens, where the boundary of the logical universe finally ends. The absolute zero of the interstellar code takes command, offering no transmission for the coordinates that the daylight planned. A silent recession of matter, expanding dark and clean, extinguishing the burning trail where the collision had been. As long as the interstellar vacuum preserves this quiet shade, the heavy trajectory of that old constellation is bound to fade. The temporary dust that cluttered the expanding planetary floor scatters into the dark cosmic depth, mattering no more. An unmeasured cosmic coordinate receives the final drift. The cultural frequency drops into a historical void, like a minor satellite whose signal was permanently destroyed. Those loud planetary demands held a grip only on the surface crust, but the deep vacuum reduces the entire argument to dust. As long as the interstellar vacuum preserves this quiet shade, the heavy trajectory of that old constellation is bound to fade. The temporary dust that cluttered the expanding planetary floor scatters into the dark cosmic depth, mattering no more. An unmeasured cosmic coordinate receives the final drift. Constellations require no structural alignment to survive, beyond the grid of data where the frantic calculations thrive. No history to validate, no orbital path to calculate or steer. The present equilibrium accepts the vastness of the sphere. The separate satellite detaches from its commercial axis line, merging smoothly with the unlit horizontal design of the pine. The brief astronomical anomaly surrenders its burning cause, leaving the elemental structure to accept an eternal pause. As long as the interstellar vacuum preserves this quiet shade, the heavy trajectory of that old constellation is bound to fade. The temporary dust that cluttered the expanding planetary floor scatters into the dark cosmic depths, mattering no more. An unmeasured cosmic coordinate receives the final drift. Mm-hmm. orbit of over-illuminated fragments, losing their gravitational core, drifting away from the dense friction that the atmosphere bore. The internal observatory shutting down its heated lens, where the boundary of the logical universe finally ends. The absolute zero of the interstellar code takes command, offering no transmission for the coordinates that the daylight planned. A silent recession of matter, expanding dark and clean, extinguishing the burning trail where the collision had been. As long as the interstellar vacuum preserves this quiet shade, the heavy trajectory of that old constellation is bound to fade. The temporary dust that cluttered the expanding planetary floor scatters into the dark cosmic depth, mattering no more. An unmeasured cosmic coordinate receives the final drift. The cultural frequency drops into a historical void, like a minor satellite whose signal was permanently destroyed. Those loud planetary demands hold a grip only on the surface crust, but the deep vacuum reduces the entire argument to dust. As long as the interstellar vacuum preserves this quiet shade, the heavy trajectory of that old constellation is bound to fade. The temporary dust that cluttered the expanding planetary floor scatters into the dark cosmic depth, mattering no more. An unmeasured cosmic coordinate receives the final drift. Right here the constellations require no structural alignment to survive. Beyond the grid of data where the frantic calculations thrive, no history to validate, no orbital path to calculate or steer. The present equilibrium accepts the vastness of the sphere. The separate satellite detaches from its commercial axis line, merging smoothly with the unlit horizontal design of the pine. The brief astronomical anomaly surrenders its burning cause, leaving the elemental structure to accept an eternal pause. As long as the interstellar vacuum preserves this quiet shade, the heavy trajectory of that old constellation is bound to fade. The temporary dust that cluttered the expanding planetary floor scatters into the dark cosmic depth, mattering no more. An unmeasured cosmic coordinate receives the final drift. As long as the vacuum stays, the constellation fades. Absolute drift. There's no